Now I request Dr. Khadar Vali sir to give a valuable speech, a special talk on floods and droughts. Welcome, sir.
Good morning to all the kids. Don't get offended. For me, you're all kids, okay? 18 years, I think you're all age group. So I'm 65 years old. Yeah, I married Usha, my classmate, while we were doing PhD. So that apart, I had asked Shri Shyam Prasad Reddy Garu that if I could meet every month young people below the age of 25, that particular day will be my lucky day for that particular month, because it is the young people that are going to live into the future next coming 40-50 years. And do you know one thing? That in the world there are only Indian young people. There are no young people from other countries. 45 crore young people are in India, and all other countries put together are not even that much number. Do you know the reason? Floods, droughts. I actually asked Shyam Prasad Reddy Garu to add, which they have not added, floods, droughts and food is the title of my talk. It is the food that we have been eating in the last 80 years has caused floods and droughts. It is the food that we have chosen to eat in the last 80 to 100 years that is causing almost every problem on this planet. And all the institutions, academicians, so-called scientists, environmentalists should have been talking that it is the food that is the reason for our problems. And till today, no one is talking about it. And that is the sad story. And that's why I like to meet young people to tell you that it is the food that is causing all the troubles for you people going into future. It's a serious problem. These white-haired fellows, bald-headed fellows, and painting their hair black, these are the guys who created this problem. These are the guys who created the problem, and we are going to tell you that the problem doesn't exist. And that's why I feel lucky when I meet young people, that that particular day I get to share the truth, the real, hard truth. How many of you drink coffee today? Had coffee, morning? How many take coffee in the morning? That's all? 1, 2, 3? You don't drink coffee? Oh, you drink tea? No? You guys don't drink coffee and tea? All of you? Then I have really come to a place where the future is safe. And I want people like you to be increasing on this planet. It's because human race is drinking coffee and tea, we have floods and droughts. It is as simple as that. All over the world, the mountainous areas have been occupied by these small plants called tea plants and coffee plants. I come from Mysuru, Western Ghats, very nearby. All over the Western Ghats now, almost 80% of Western Ghats are occupied by coffee plantation. And all over Himalayan mountains, tea estates have occupied. Not only in India, you go to South America, you go to Ethiopia, you go to Africa, anywhere there are mountains, you have these two estates. And anywhere there are rivers flowing, you have dams built. All these great engineers are building dams all over the world. And in fact, after the dams have been built, there have been floods. And then the drought followed. And in fact, it is because of these big dams that we have floods and droughts on this planet. If only rivers were to meet the oceans normally, then there would not be these problems. There would not be heavy rains. It would have been regulated rains. You guys sweat, am I right? You don't sweat? Sweat. Sweat, do you know what is sweat? Swedam. Chamatalu. Why does one sweat? Why do you sweat? What happens when you sweat? You are regulating your temperature. It is one of the most important parameter. It is the only process that regulates our temperature, and there are particular glands below your skin. And while doing that, what are the things that come out in your sweat? 90% of it is sodium. Where is sodium maximum present? Where is it? Ocean, 3.8% to 4.2% sodium. So what happens when the sweet water of river meets the ocean? What happens? There is no sodium in the river's water. There is 4% approximately in the ocean's water. What happens then? There is what is called sodium potential created. That means the sodium ions rush into this fresh water where there is no sodium. Sodium plus, these are called cations. So when the sodium plus rushes into this sweet water of rivers that are meeting the ocean all over the world, different parts of the globe where the soil meets the ocean, the rivers are running into the... So what happens is the salt runs into the delta areas, creating the gradient. It is called gradient of the cations, the positive nature of these salts, sodium plus. Why sodium is plus? You are all engineering students. You should be answering me tuck, tuck, tuck like that. Why? Sodium has got one s electron which is free, ready to leave. The electronegativity of sodium is very less. That's why it loses its electron, tapuk, goes out and creates sodium plus, Na plus. So that means it is willing to accept electron any given time if there is a possibility. So it is this potential of cationic potential that creates, it is called actually PMF. What is PMF? Proton motive force. So it moves, actually the ocean moves because the salt wants to meet the fresh water which is less. So to balance, the salt water comes and rushes. In fact, that's how you create what? Waves. Small waves are created because of this potential. And that's how you create Vayu Pidana, the cyclones, the weather patterns, everything. So what is important is that the rivers are meeting the ocean. And it is this wonderful force of cationic, PMF, it's called proton motive force. When there is no salt in the rivers, there are some salts, small amounts of salts, but not as much as the ocean where you have 3.8%. Imagine the amount of salt that ocean holds. And that's where the seasons, the patterns, weather patterns are all created. Now, because the sun is heating, the water gets evaporated, and that's how the balance of sodium is maintained as this water. Where did this water in the rivers come from? Where did it come from? How does a river get formed? It rains. Where is water in the clouds? How did it get there? Huh? Where from the evaporation takes place? Oh, water bodies all put together is only 3%. The oceans are the major water body, nothing else. 97% of it is in the ocean. Your North Pole, South Pole, all the rivers, Ganges, Himalayas, everything, Siberia, put together is only 3% of water on this planet. So the major source of water is in the ocean with so much salt. And that's where things happen. That's where the drama begins. And who makes the drama? The so-called sun. He begins heating the water. When he heats the water, where does it go? It goes up. But why does it simply go up completely? Who stops it? Clouds. How does a cloud get formed? Who holds the tons and tons of water that is going to get into rain? And then where does it? Do you know it is the small microbes that make these things happen? It is the plants that live on these mountains. The surface below the leaves, not the top, the lower, where the water escapes from the roots, called stromata. And the surface and the top layers of this stromata holds hygroscopic bacteria, which absorbs water and starts forming things. So that force makes the clouds so that it doesn't evaporate into the space. And it is this microbe. And that's where the life comes into picture. Till now we talked about only material things where there is no life. Now the microbial world comes into picture. It is this hygroscopic stromata based microbes that make the clouds form, that makes the seeds of the clouds form. Once one cloud is formed, then we have 18 different kinds of cloud formation. One is required for the other is required for the other. And it is this balance, this dance, that makes things happen, that makes the rain come. And so if you do not have plants on these mountains, where are we breaking this cycle? The rains are not regulated. So there is enough to make the clouds, but to regulate, you need the plant, the big plants, the big trees, hundreds, 200, 300, 400, 500, thousands of years of old trees are required to make this dance, a beautiful dance that is not non-orchestrated, non-synchronic, dabba-dabba dance. And the dabba-dabba dance is floods and droughts. Are you understanding what I am speaking? So if you break any of these wonderful small events, micro events, we are going to create macro balance. The macro balance is created by these micro events. And that's why when I tell you drink coffee and tea, you are the reason for floods and droughts. This is one of the reasons. And to drink coffee and tea, you need sugar. And the human race has been building dams all over the world. All rivers almost are dammed now. And it is this damming of the rivers that is causing the imbalance. Why are we building dams? Why are we storing water? For growing sugarcane and rice and wheat. All over the world, in the name of green revolution. Where did this green revolution come from? Do you guys have any idea? Of course, it's wrong on my part, 18-year-old young people to expect from this. I just want to ask one of these so-called big engineers. Does any faculty have an idea where this green revolution came from? I'm not asking which country. How did it happen? After Second World War, many bombs they didn't use. They were piling up and it rained heavily. And the bomb material, in those days ammonium nitrate is the base material, leaked into the ground, and then the so-called Jawans, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan we say. No? That is the connection. The Jawans observed, one of these so-called military fellows observed that the grass around that area where there is this bombs leaked. They started growing very well. And then one of the military scientists did experiment and said, yeah, this is giving ammonium, nitrogen to this, and that's how it is growing. Then the fertilizer came to existence. So they were very happy because we can make bombs and we don't use them on a regular basis, but then diffusing the bombs, that's what shelf life came into picture. So you cannot use the bomb because you do not know after 1 year whether it will kill the enemies or not. When I put the bomb, it was kaput. So it has to be checked, rechecked. So after this many years, if you use the bomb is to be diffused. You have to get out, you have to make a new bomb because we are to be sure when I put a bomb, the enemy has to die. And if I put the bomb and the bomb goes kaput, no, then it's waste. So that's why first the word shelf life came to existence. It is the shelf life of the bombs. And then of course afterwards, everything has shelf life now. Chocolate, milk, everything. You have to mention that. So the shelf life came to existence and they made from the bombs. They are very happy now. We don't use the bomb, but we diffuse them and make fertilizers. So I can go on making new bombs. Before they didn't know what to do with all these bombs. Now they have found directly if I get the bomb material. And so the military fellows started funding these fertilizer fellows. Hey, you take this and make fertilizer. Initially it started and then they said, what do we do with the fertilizer? Go and put it in the fields of the farmers. Don't even tell them in the night, go and dump. And that's what they did all over the world. And once the farmer, it's growing very well, let's get that. And then the fertilizer companies started making by themselves, and then this bomb material is a constant source of raw material. So when we put fertilizer, you need to dissolve it, isn't it? So you have to store water. So that means it is a crop which can store water, and then biologists came along and said, C3 foods, that is from pyruvic acid to glucose. When you make the C3 to C4, if you have more water, more yield. So they chose this rice and wheat, which are called C3 foods. That means to make glucose, to make grain. When you are making grain, the glucose has to be accumulated. Water is required. So that's why when you grow rice, without much water, you get 8 quintals. But when you put water into the ground and then put this fertilizer, the yields increase. Because it is from C3 to C4, the yields increase. So C3 foods, when you put them, give them water and fertilizer, you increase the yields. And that's how your rice and wheat are chosen. And this wheat and rice have absolutely no fiber. So when you eat rice and wheat, actually there is a flood of glucose into your blood. When there is too much glucose in your blood, just like floods, you see the flood of glucose because we have no fiber in the rice. We have no fiber in the wheat. The glucose is flooding your blood. When the blood is flooded with glucose, what does our bodies do? Our liver, our pancreas, all these organs, endocrine glands, they start making glycogen. They start making triglycerides. They start making cholesterol. So when you start eating rice and wheat without fiber, you have started accumulating the fat, glycogen fat. So now a girl who is supposed to be 50 kgs when she is 18, now 70% of the girls in Texas are weighing 120 kilos. Where did this come from? The flooding of the blood with glucose. If you have glucose in the blood, what happens? What happens when you put sugar here? It starts absorbing water. So the increased glucose in your blood starts parching the other living cells. It absorbs all the water. So then what do you do when you eat gulab jamun or Mysore pak or donut or sweets? You run and drink more water. So when you drink more water, what happens? Your kidney has to dialyze and send. So you start looking for toilets. Why all these problems? Build the toilet in the bedroom. That's how the bedroom, bathroom attachment came. Attached bathrooms. Yeah, why? Because you cannot hold your urine immediately from the bed to the toilet. And this is a problem now for 25-year-old software engineers who are looking to go to toilet because they do not have control over their. It's a flood. You see floods and droughts. You are all laughing, but this is a serious matter. It is because of coffee, tea, you started cutting the forests and making dams and cutting the forest this side, growing the sugar cane and adding sugar and drinking this coffee tea. When you drink coffee tea, this is what happens to you. You lose control over your urination. In fact, it is so much so that in America, people are having bags added on to their thighs because they don't have control over their urination. They don't know when they are going to urinate. 18% of people have got catheter and carrying urine in their thighs because they don't know. They have lost control of even the nerves. Can you believe we have bathrooms in bedroom? You have not asked this question, isn't it? Why the hell do I have toilet in my bedroom? Isn't it an odd question? You never thought about it, isn't it? It's because floods and droughts. Have you questioned this? Why the hell do I have toilet in my bedroom where I should be sleeping in a healthy condition? So every day you urinate there, you shit there and put chemicals and clean. And you think you are okay. You see the modern world living with toilets in the bedrooms, and we have not questioned. We have not questioned the glucose flood in our blood, the food that we are eating is causing. So rice and wheat are not human beings' food at all, because it is the source of glucose imbalance, and it is the glucose that is to be produced at the last step of our digestion. In a biochemistry, when you add the raw material is your as the final product. You know, the whole globe is, India produces 63 lakh tons of sugar every year. See the unscientific nature of our actions. We are cutting the forests, making the dams, producing sugar, making everyone eat this sugar because we have produced it, because the fertilizer companies want to sell their fertilizers. India pays every year 2.39 lakh crores of money as subsidy for fertilizer companies. And it is not calculated in the price of sugar or rice. You think you are buying your rice for 50 rupees kilo? It is 2,980 rupees per kilo. And it is not the chief minister, it is not the prime minister who is giving the money. They claim they are giving free. It's you who are paying money. So each kg of rice you are eating, you are costing enormous amount of environmental damage, and enormous amount of your tax money is going away. After all that happened, you are sick. 20-year-old kids are becoming diabetic patients. In fact, Hyderabad holds the record, I believe. Recently there was a news item. Below 30 years, diabetic patients are 19%, I believe, in India. And out of 100 diabetic patients, 19 fellows are becoming diabetic patients below 30 years. And Hyderabad is capital of diabetic. So that means in another 10 years, out of this 500 kids, 19 into 5 are going to be diabetic. It's because of floods and droughts. So we have created these micro imbalances that are actually resulting as glucose imbalance in our body. You understand these connections? The food that we are eating is actually the reason for floods and droughts. Of course, you have cut the trees and made pavements and all these big cities, that's why floods. Hyderabad, every rainy season you have rivers flowing in the city because we have no trees to absorb the water, hold the water. Even if you have open grounds, you need to have grass on it. If there is no grass, the water that falls only runs away, not get absorbed. It is the roots of these big trees and grasses that can absorb and hold water. So if you do not want to have floods and droughts, so if you have a flood in some place, you will have a drought in another place. And this shift has been going on. Where there were floods before, now there are droughts. Where there were droughts before, now there are floods. That's because of the imbalances that we are creating by choosing what we are drinking and what we are eating. Are you understanding the connections? And today is my first place where I have gone to an audience. When I asked the question, have you taken coffee or tea? Only 3 or 4 hands came up. Today is my lucky day. I have not been drinking coffee and tea for the last 40-45 years. I have not taken milk. I have not taken rice. I have not taken wheat. Because they are all causing environmental damage. So if you are drinking coffee, if you are taking sugar, if you are eating rice, if you are eating wheat, you are directly responsible for this global macro imbalances. Are you getting the connections? Are you getting the connections? Because it is you who have to get the knowledge. We guys are very fantastic fellows. We spoil things and say, this is the problem. We don't even say that there is a problem. And there is no other solution on this planet. These big political leaders will have Kyoto meeting, Paris meeting, Brazil meeting, Davos meeting. All these meetings will go on and on and on, perennial. They are going on for the last 70 years. There will be no solution. And these organizations, academic institutions are all working under the umbrella of these companies. They will not write in their textbooks all these connections. What I am trying to communicate is I can cure diabetes like this in 3 months. Anyone, doesn't matter. But no one will talk about it because it doesn't suit these companies. It doesn't suit this agricultural industry. It is this factory food culture doesn't allow this to happen because you all have to eat this, you all have to get sick, and all these pharmaceutical companies have to making money. So you want to be sick or going to the hospitals? No, you choose it. Choice is yours. Just like I chose my wife, or my wife chose me. That's a separate issue. And I asked Shyam Prasad Reddy to add that millets there. Why millets? These millets have fiber. Foxtail millet has got 8% fiber in its grain, incorporated, interloculated with the carbohydrate. It is not just mixed like rice, I mix fiber. That's not going to solve the problem. Because the carbohydrate has to be released slowly and steadily, means the carbohydrate and fiber have to be interloculated with chemical bonds so that our enzymes take time to release glucose slowly and steadily into your blood. That means the flooding of the blood by glucose has to be regulated. So the carbohydrate, the glucose release has to be slow and steady. Why the hell do you need carbohydrate? I don't want carbohydrate. Let me be happy without carbohydrate. No, it does not work that way. You need glucose. Without burning glucose, you don't get ATP to live. Adenosine triphosphate. So even if you eat fat, meat, everything has to be channeled to glucose to get energy. To wink your eye, to take breath, to go and shit, to go and sleep, you need energy. That means glucose has to be burnt by oxygen to release carbon dioxide. And then ATP, adenosine triphosphate, is made, that the triple bond, that the last phosphate bond breaks, releases energy. Every cell releases, every cell uses this energy. That means you need glucose. But as I told you, you need water. Without water we cannot live. But then if you flood your home, you will keep scolding. Oh, floods. Why, without water can you live? Even to wash your ass you need water. Kakka madid mele, after shitting you need water to wash. So how do you need the water? You need regulated. Where does the regulation come from? It is the fiber. It is the big trees, it is the humus that is in the soil that holds the water. That means we are making our soils humus less, no fiber. That's why you need forests, whether dead or alive. Even if they are dead, they are useful. There is nothing like a forest is going to die. Even after death of the trees, it keeps you alive because the microbes come into picture. So nothing of forest is dead. It is always live. Even the plant is dead, it is live. Because it keeps doing its job. It regulates. So that's the fiber. In fact, it is the precursor of wood, which is called lignons. That is the ultimate fiber which can actually clean up all your garbage in your body. And that's what is available in these 5 grains. Foxtail millet, kodo millet, little millet, barnyard millet, brown top millet. All here understand Telugu? Anta Telugu vallena? వేరే రాష్ట్రాల నుంచి ఉన్నారా? ఒక్కరో ఇద్దరో ఉన్నారు. సో వీ హ్యావ్ టోల్డ్ యూ ఆల్ దీస్ 5 millets ఇన్ ఇంగ్లీష్. తెలుగులో కొర్రలు, ఊదలు, అరికలు, సామెలు, అండు కొర్రలు అంటారు. These 5 grains have got 8% to 12.5% fiber. That means they have the capacity to release glucose slowly and steadily. And that's how they create glucose balance in your blood. And to grow these grains, you don't need water at all. Just water in the atmosphere, they can absorb and make the grain. So what does that indicate? These are not C3 foods. That means by giving rain water or whatever water you want to give, they don't care about water. Even if you give water or don't water, they keep making the same amount of grains because these are called C4 foods. That means they build their glucose from oxaloacetic acid, where the water doesn't play any role in making glucose. You see the beauty of this. It regulates water. Without water it can grow 8 to 10 quintals, and it can grow anywhere. That means there is no irrigation necessary. There is no dams necessary. There is no water necessity at all. Now you see where you can break this imbalance we have created, try to get balance into the system if we choose millets as our food. You see the problem now? Rather, see the solution now? The problem is created by choosing the wrong foods. Coffee, tea, sugar, rice, wheat. And then as if it's not enough, we are feeding these grains and making meat, eggs, milk. Go to gym. Feed yourself steroids and make your sperms go away. And women are maturing at the age of 8, 6. And beauty parlors are increasing. Why? Hormone imbalance, upper lip mustache for women, and men losing their complete hair. All hormonal imbalance. It is the choice of food, and the doctors are not telling you this. Come, we will have your hair fixed. Every 2 years come and we will fix your hair. Homeopathy advertises, this fellow advertises, that fellow advertises. Oh, come, we have oil. We'll pull it. We have panchakarma. Karma will make your karma go away. Nothing is going to happen to you by homeopathy or by allopathy or Ayurveda, because underneath you have disturbed your hormone imbalance. Your testosterone and estrogen are gone haywire. That's why you have mustache coming in girls and boys. Bald heads, 20 years bald heads. Sir, I don't know how to marry. Oh, you go and put a wig and paint. Imbalance, hormonal imbalance, because the choice of food. You understand the problems that we have created by choosing the food that we are eating? No, 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 I want a pizza, I want a burger. No, 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 I'm ordering GPS. Now the drone is going to come and put burger into your mouth now. Next feature. No Zomato, no Swiggy. Now you are all thinking Zomato, Swiggy, order, it comes and you eat. Why Zomato, Swiggy? We have now deciphered, we have apps that can make cat meat, dog meat, whatever meat you want. Why Khadar's meat? I analyze my amino acid sequence, glycogen content, carbohydrate content. I can make an app and make tons of Dr. Khadar's meat. Okay, you can eat Khadar, Aishwarya Rai meat or someone else's meat. This is coming, cell line cultures. They are going to control the food. Not only the food, when you want to eat, they will tell. See, your money you put in your bank, you want to take it OTP. One-time password, that fellow has to give us. In fact, this big disaster has happened in the human race. Few women did not get milk to feed their baby. And then these scientists made baby food. Now baby food is fed for every baby. The mothers who have to feed their babies have stopped feeding their babies. This is a very serious problem that has happened. And both babies and mothers are sick because the mother is not feeding the baby. It's a natural process that has to be completed in nature. There is zero waste technology, but we are creating waste by introducing our own makings. You see the problem? I'm talking very big things here. I hope you 18-year-old are trying to grasp what I'm talking. I'm trying to make it simple. A lot of things are involved in this. But then unless I tell you these things, I cannot sleep tonight. These are the problems we have created. Our generation, last 2-3 generations have created. And we are not talking about it. We are hiding things from you. You guys, you think everything is hunky-dory. I just order. I have app, e-app, this app. Blah, 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 blah. The drone is coming and going to put Dunkin' Donuts in your mouth. It's going to dump donuts into your mouth. And you think it's great. That's what your principal was telling. Go walk. He was telling he was cycling. In fact, I was actually carrying రెండు కుండలు ఒక పెద్ద చేంతాడు తీసుకొని గుంతకలలో I used to walk 16 kilometers to fetch 2 pots of water. One for drinking, one for living the other things. Every day. And I was a small boy. Even today, I can do that. So it is the nature. Why do you need to sweat? The sweat is regulating your temperature as well as the salt concentrations. And without salt being regulated, your BP, your other activities will not be functional. And that's the reason why you need to walk or sweat. Sweating is one way of excreting some things that are not required. Shitting is another way of excreting. Sleeping is excreting the carbon dioxide that we are generating in our day-to-day living activities. When you use energy, you have to create carbon dioxide. And if I just cover your nose for 3 minutes, you will die. Am I right? That means the toxic morbid waste created on your daily basis has to be eliminated on a daily basis. And for that to happen efficiently, you need fiber. And for that floods and droughts not to happen, you need fiber on the planet. And what is the fiber on the planet? It is the trees and grass. We are eliminating that in the name of rice, wheat. When you grow rice, you are putting the salts onto the soil and it is killing the microbes. So it is the microbes that can do the job for you, and we are killing them in the name of food. in the name of milk, in the name of sugar. And these tons and tons of rice and tons of sugar, tons and tons of coffee, tons and tons of tea is the reason why we have floods and droughts. So it's not good enough for me to state the problem. I also need to give you the solution. And we have worked for the last 35 years on these problems independently, because no institute, no government organization wants to do this work. So it is the food that you are eating that is causing your floods and droughts. I hope I have explained to you the micro stuff and the macro stuff. And it is this potential of sodium that is the essence of our weather patterns, and we are disturbing it by our activities. It is not driving a car, and that's not causing the imbalance. It is the food to transport, centralized food transportation. So we should not be producing food, factory food centrally. We need to be producing food there and then and use there and then itself. So the transportation has to be eliminated. And then all these great scientists will ask, can we feed so many people? When you produce food centralized way, you cannot feed beyond certain number of people. It cannot be beyond 8 billion. In fact, we have reached that. That means we are going to go have into the future. If you continue to want to eat rice, wheat, meat and sugar and thing, you will have reached theoretically not able to produce, and there is going to be difficult for transportation also. So it is high time human race chose the right things, the scientific way of doing things. Till now, in the last 100 years, people have been brainwashed that you are living on a scientific basis. In fact, the most unscientific way of living has happened on this planet in the last 50 years. The most unscientific way of human existence has been, according to me, in the last 50 years. And we have been giving ourselves Nobel Prizes, big awards, not knowing what we are doing. And you know what we have created? I just went to America last July, 3rd week I came back. I was giving lectures here and there, 7, 8 places. In 1997 I left America, came back to India. I was living there for 10 years. So when I left, first thing I observed was a 6-year-old girl menstruating. That gave me a shock. How a 6-year-old girl can menstruate? That means we have imbalanced the hormones. And that's when I started thinking independently and came back to solve the problems, at least for myself and my daughter and my wife. But then we found solutions that can greatly impact the whole human race. And since then we have been running around all over India, different parts of India, different places, different colleges. In fact, I don't know, I have never met anyone who has visited almost 2,000 colleges till now in the last 20 years. I have been giving this information to all the people, and I have visited more than 2,000 villages in Karnataka alone. In fact, in the last 4 or 5 years, I have visited at least 400 to 500 places in Telugu state, both together. We are trying to communicate to people that it is the food that has caused the problem. The major 95% of the reason that we have problems on this planet is the food that we have chosen, the factory food, centrally producing the food, the fertilizer companies, the food corporates that are creating havoc, and all the others are going along with it. So if a doctor comes and tells you, you take this tablet, you have diabetes, he is lying to you. Because if he only were to tell you, eat millets, within 6 months you will eliminate the disease from your body. As simple as that. Of course, he may not be lying knowingly. The system as a whole has made this happen. I'm not blaming individual doctors. The system is in that mode. The establishment is in that mode. I hope future generations of doctors understand these things and then start recommending their patients. Please eat millets if you have diabetes. Please eat millets if you have BP. And that's what we have been doing in our clinic. My daughter is a doctor. And we have been healing people left and right. Left and right. Thousands and thousands of people are getting better. So floods, droughts, millets, all are connected. So if you stop drinking coffee, you are actually participating in the environmental movement. You are going to save the planet. You are going to save the soil if you eat millets. Yeah, nowadays all are running around, save soil, writing songs, singing songs. So by writing songs, singing songs, you can only spread the awareness. But how do you really do? Yeah, now he is coming and giving you water in the plastic bottle. You are not going to save rivers. You need to change that. It is the plastic that is causing havoc to many, many living things on this planet. Actually, I never take water in the plastic bottle. I have never bought in my life. I carry my water all the time. When I travel, I take copper bottle. The reason is very simple. It structures the water. 3D to 4S. Copper alone has got this bandwidth, the energy that can structure water. That is hydrogen bonding in water, H2O, is structured when the rain comes and the water flows. The kinetic moment, the kinetic energy in the flowing water structures the hydrogen bond. What is hydrogen bond? The weak hydrogen that is losing the electron causes delta positive nature, and oxygen being electronegative holds the electrons towards its side. It causes delta negative charge. So two hydrogens have got delta positive, and the central oxygen has got two delta negative charges created by this electron moving towards oxygen. So there is delta negative charge and there is a delta positive charge in the hydrogen. So the other molecule of water, the hydrogen, gets attracted to the other oxygen. So now the oxygen has got three hydrogens. So the water is water because of this hydrogen bond. It is liquid because it has hydrogen bond. And this delta positive, delta negative, delta positive, delta negative structuring can happen if you have the same bandwidth electric EMF, that is called electron motive force. So the EMF on this moving electrons from 3D to 4S is matching that, correcting the hydrogen bond, that electron motive force. That's how copper and copper alone can structure the water artificially, other than nature flowing water. So I always drink structured water because it is the structured water that can carry the so-called toxic morbid waste properly in your bloodstream. So just by drinking copper structured water, you can eliminate many diseases in your body. You drink that water, you are carrying nanoparticles and creating hydrophilicity instead of, you are going to get hydrophobicity instead of hydrophilic. This water is hydrophilic, that water is going to cause you hydrophobicity because plastic nanoparticles are going to lodge into your intestines and that way create more havoc, creating microbes going away from your body. Are you understanding what I am speaking? So I request all the authorities not to give water in plastic bottles. Okay, they will give for their convenience. I request all the young boys and girls not to drink. Carry your, if not copper water, in the house you make copper water bottle in the copper plate, then carry in a steel bottle. Because this copper bottle you cannot keep carrying, and you have to wash this, because the toxic things get accumulated on the surface. Every day you have to clean. I clean with lemon juice. Alpha hydroxy organic acids can just chelate and remove these toxic materials. And that's how lemon cleans lot of metals, lot of toxic things. Okay? These micro things can demonstrate into a macro imbalance. So I have never taken that. So I never fall sick. I have been running around so many villages, so many places. So I clean my bottle and put the water in the night. Within 5 to 6 hours, the water gets charged. So even if there is poison in the water almost, nothing is going to happen to me because it cleans up. Even microbes, most of the microbes and viruses, the top cellular structure gets destroyed by this particular bandwidth of the D and S electrons. And one more metal comes very close to this is silver. That is 4D 5S. But that bandwidth doesn't suit this particular water bandwidth energy. That's why silver can kill some particular microbes, but copper can do the job very efficiently. And you see the usage of silver and copper in our culture. In fact, in our Western Ghats, there are temples which have got copper sheets all over the temples, because wherever a lot of people meet, you have viral infections. So if the people touch the copper, in fact in the temples for the big pillars, they have got copper. When your hands touch, you are cleaning yourself. So in fact, in the olden days, kids, they used to wear this bangle, the copper. That is not only that EMF, PMF business, it also protects you from viral infections. So all these kinds of food practices, food materials, we have been losing in the name of science and modern living. And we have been inviting thousands of modern day diseases because of the food that we have forgotten. I hope you are understanding the connections. Floods, droughts, food, millets. The happy thing is, everything is in our hands. You don't need to wait for another Tokyo conference to fix global warming problems. It is you who can fix, not these guys. They are not going to fix the problem. They want the problems. So don't sing songs, save soil, save soil. Just change the food. That's when you can save the soil. So keep eating rice and say save soil, you're not going to save soil, you're going to kill yourself and the planet. So in the next coming 10 years, if we don't change our food, we will not have life on this planet after 50 years. Life, I mean human life. Other lives will somehow manage to come, and again, we are going to extinguish ourselves. We have extinguished lives of millions of living things on this planet by now. And we are going to kill ourselves too if we continue in the same path. And that path is to change food. So, change your food, change your life. I can talk to you many more things, but I hope I have given you the essence of our living and past and future to come. And it is the future for you to write, not for someone to decide. So it is all in this young people's hand. And where are these young people? Here, in our country, in 1998 to 2000, they have taken statistics in America. Out of 100 kids born between 97 and 2000, now they are aging around 20 to 25. Out of 100 of them, 29 of them are LGBTs. You know what is LGBT? You know? Do you know? Who knows what is this LGBT acronym? Tell me, what is? Get up and tell. Tell. Please tell me. I'll be very happy. In fact, you will be the best. It's very important people know this. What is LGBT? Come on, get up. Don't just shoot. Fantastic. That's it. Lesbians, thank you so much. What's your name? Fantastic. That's exactly what it is. That means out of 100 kids born, even if there is young generation next in the Europe, it is 28 to 32% kids are LGBTs, lesbians, gays. That means girls like girls, boys like boys. That means what? What does that mean? There is no generation, next generation. Are you not killing yourself? There is no generation further. That means we are going to terminate ourselves. There is no need of terminator. We are the terminators. Are you understanding the implications of this? And we are creating that. The food that they are eating is creating that. It is the burgers, it is the noodles, it is the cheese, it is that is making these things happen. That means so much hormonal imbalance that we are going away from natural existence. Nature detour, it's gone, out of whack. So I had a shock of my life in 1987 and I had a shock of my life in 2018 again. Both in America only. When a young girl menstruated at the age of 6, my life changed. And when I went and learnt this, I felt my life is complete because I am doing something about it. I feel so good that we have found solution now. I am so confident that coming next 15 years will decide human race, whether it's going to continue on this planet or not. And it is in your hands. It is in your hands. Young India can decide this, not other parts of the world. Don't worry about these so-called leaders. They are not going to lead you anywhere. It is each and every individual young Indian who can decide the future of the planet. Thank you very much.